name is Annabelle Spencer and I'm 19 years old. I am currently enrolled at La Trobe University and this is my first year studying primary teaching. I live in the suburb of Panton Hill in Victoria. My interviewee that I'll be referring to throughout this presentation will be by the name of Jessica. Jessica is one of my friends that I met through a leadership camp throughout secondary school. Jessica was born in Syria, where she completed her primary school education and then migrated to Australia for her secondary schooling. Throughout this presentation, I'll be presenting the differences and inequities that Jessica and I have encountered throughout our lifetime. Schooling and education. Through interviewing Jessica, it was clear that there are significant inequalities in relation to schooling throughout the world. Jessica completed her primary education overseas in Syria, where she experienced injustice and unfairness. According to Ravaya McCutcheon 2019, low-income students and students of colour are often regulated to low-quality school facilities that lack equitable access to teachers, instrumental materials, technology and technological support, critical facilities and physical maintenance. Inequalities that Syrian students encounter have a significant effect on their education. Factors such as conflict, lack of peace, and low rates of income are all contributors to the low rate of effective education for Syrian students. A study undertaken by PR Newswire have proven data on Syrian schools being bombed, destroyed, and/or turned into weapon catchers or torture centres. Now, I cannot even imagine this sort of behaviour occurring during the time that I was brought up and through my education days here in Australia, whereas this is normal for someone living in a war-torn society just like Jessica. Primary education is aimed at providing the student with opportunities to acquire literacy, numeracy and communication skills. According to Vaspantanji 2017, the Act of Inclusion in the education system is included in global and national education policies. Throughout my education years, I was very fortunate to be able to experience inclusion and acceptance. Over the last decade, modern education systems have undergone major changes in relation to their practices of inclusion, particularly with Australia's multicultural society. From my education experiences, I feel that I've been a part of these changes. When I began primary school, majority of my class were white Australians. When I was going through secondary school, there were many different cultures, religion and races throughout our cohort. As a result of this, there has clearly been a significant change within the education system, even within my lifetime. Despite the inequalities that Jessica experienced with her education over in Syria, she had experienced significantly different schooling equalities here in Australia. When she migrated from Syria to Australia, English was her second language, and therefore she was not very confident nor fluent. Therefore, completing her secondary schooling came with great difficulties. According to Graham and Harwood 2009, attention to cultural factors in education settings is a key component in the development of understandings of difference. I can relate to this statement through my education setting and equalities that were present, with several students in my cohort not having English as their first language. As a result of this, my school provided additional assistance where the classroom teachers created a more thorough relationship with such students in order to gain knowledge of their capabilities and to provide equity within their lesson plans and teaching. I feel that this is a comprehensive example of equity in the classroom, as it is allowing all students to be on the same level regardless of their upbringing. In addition to this, a strong equity that was emphasised in my schooling education was a prayer room for religious students. I did not have a strong correlation with the prayer room, however, I know how important and meaningful it was for students, just like Jessica, who have a strong connection to their religion and culture. Family and culture. Family is vital for the development of a person's identity and personal growth. According to Wilson 2012, family is a group of people related by blood, by law, living together, or associating with one another with a common purpose. Jessica was brought up in a family-orientated environment with many relatives, cousins, aunties and uncles contributing to her identity as a person. However, this changed immensely when Jessica migrated to Australia when she was just 12 years old. Migrating to Australia meant that she left her culture and homeland behind. Throughout my upbringing, I was brought up in a very close-knit family. From the moment that I was born, my grandparents, aunties, uncles, and cousins have played a great deal of influence on who I am as a person. My family are not a religious family and don't follow a specific culture. I was very fortunate to be brought up with white privilege. According to Amico 2016, white privilege is a concept of racial domination that enables us to see this relationship from the perspective of those who benefit from such domination. I was born with light-coloured skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair, and therefore perceived as an individual with ultimate privilege. This is seen when I'm travelling overseas. I've experienced locals coming up to me, touching my hair and face, and taking photos of me. In the eyes of these people, I am seen to be travelling another country because of wealth. Therefore, I am able to benefit more than other people who may have different coloured skin, eyes, or hair. I have lost count of the amount of times that I've been undervalued as a result of the colour of my skin, my headwear, and my looks. A direct quote from Jessica. During my schooling time, I was fortunate enough to experience cultural capital with additional assistance, money, and resources in close proximity. On the other hand, the assumption follows that people of colour lack the social and cultural capital. Yosso 2006. Cultural capital refers to the assets other than economic capital that differentiates social classes and that are acquired through the family and education. Harris and White 2018. I was brought up in a middle-class family and I experienced cultural capital through attending 2 separate private girls' schools as well as the knowledge and resources that I was supplied from by my family. Identity and belonging. Your sense of identity and belonging initiates at birth and gradually establishes as you grow and develop into yourself and your surroundings. Throughout the interview process, it was clear that Jessica's identity and belonging had a strong influence from her culture, upbringing, and experiences. Chiazzo 2011 states that identity is not the outcome of a lonely evolution of abstract thinking, but is formed by interactions with other people, places, or situations. This statement correlates to the formation of Jessica's identity, as there were many factors that contribute to a sense of self and to which I can personally relate to as well. Interactions with people, places, and situations are all key influences on my identity, and without these, I would not be the person that I am today. Growing up, I never really struggled with my identity. Through listening and understanding myself through my likes and dislikes really helped me to discover my true self. Prior to this interview and subject, it was not clear to me that both identity and belonging worked together so significantly. As my interviewee stated, if I do not feel a sense of safety and security, I automatically turn into being scared of the unknown. My identity changes from joyful to fearful and from enthusiastic to lethargic. This addresses that without feeling a sense of belonging, your identity cannot be exerted to its best potential. Throughout my upbringing, I felt respected and accepted with almost any of my movements, whereas for people of a different culture, race, religion, or colour, this may not be the same case. Through interviewing Jessica, she drew on the points of poverty, discrimination, and injustice that she was brought up in. Throughout my upbringing, I was brought up in an equal society with little poverty, discrimination, and injustice. These issues only came to my mind in my secondary schooling, But still, there was not a great emphasis placed on these. From my personal experience, having a sense of belonging and identity prepares you to exert your best drive and allows you to speak up and stand up for what you believe in. This is the way that I feel, as I've had a well-established sense of belonging as a result of a supportive and respectful upbringing. Throughout this assignment, I've developed a deeper and thorough understanding of key concepts and theories covered in this subject. It is clear that I've been fortunate enough to be brought up in an equal and inclusive family. At the beginning, I was not clear on the meaning of white privilege, and this has allowed me to gain a sound knowledge of the concept and has made me realise that I am lucky enough to live under the umbrella of white privilege as well as cultural capital, despite never previously linking myself to these concepts. However, this does not mean that I live in the perfect world. It simply means that I've not experienced as many difficulties, inequities, and exclusions compared to others in our community. I'm proud to say that I'm proud of my identity as a person, with a great deal of respect and appreciation to my family and community who have all contributed to the person that I am today. Thank you.